Hey, my glasses are on the way.
Good. Okay. Lesson 3.3 is solving inequalities using multiplication and division. And as we look at this, that first one is 9t is, what's that sign? Greater than. So one of the things I did yesterday on the notes, and I'm kind of reviewing for people who weren't here, is I wrote down which sign is which. So this sign right here that points left is a
Less. Wait, less.
okay. The sign that points left is a less than sign. I always say it kind of looks like an L, doesn't it? It kind of looks like a sloppy L. Whereas the sign that points to the right is a,
More than.
I'm going to say greater than, but more than is equivalent. A greater than sign. So you need to be confident with those signs, okay? So become more and more comfortable. You need to write a little cheat sheet on your notes then. Now you have which is which. As we look at example 1 here, 9t is greater than negative 36. Your question is, how do we get t by itself? If this was 9t equals negative 36, what would you do? What's holding the 9 and t together? Multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So what am I going to divide by? 9. We're going to divide both sides by 9, because if you divide the left by 9, you divide the right by 9. Okay, just like if it was an equation. Now, what's 9t divided by 9? That's t. 9's cancel. That's t. What's negative 36 divided by 9?
4.
Okay, 36 divided by 9 is 4. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. What should I put in between that t and that negative 4?
Minus. Less.
What sign was up here?
On that.
No, this is a greater than sign. Okay, so this is greater than sign. So what do I need to copy down here? A greater than sign. What we've done yesterday and what we're starting off with today, unless you have a reason to flip the sign, we just leave it as is. So right there, that's your answer. T is greater than negative 4. Now, you cannot just tell me your answer is negative 4. I forgot to share that yesterday. You have to have the T and the less than, greater than sign to go with it. Okay. What about a graph?
Oh man, I hate these graphs.
So we practiced graphing inequalities yesterday as well.
Did they get 4 clues right?
Okay. One number that has to be on this number line is negative 4, because negative 4 is part of my answer. Different teachers do this differently. I always ask you to put a couple of other numbers around negative 4.
Negative 5, negative 6.
Okay. So I would say negative 5 and negative 6 over there on the left. And then negative 3 and negative 2 on the right. I ended up with those kind of close together, but with the idea that 0 would be over here, wouldn't it? So if I count negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Okay.
They're not done though.
How do I graph this?
It's open and it go left. Right.
Okay. So my rule is, as long as my letter's on the left, as long as the letter's on this side, I get to shade the direction the arrow points. This is a greater than sign. So I'm going to shade to the right of negative 4. Okay? Halen, if you can't see, you can move up too. Okay. So, because it's greater than, I'm shading to the right. David, you said something about an open circle?
Yeah.
Why open, guys? Those of you that were here yesterday, what do you remember?
I don't know. If there's a line under it and it's greater than it's closed, there's no more lines on level.
Okay. Because this is just less than or greater than, we do the open circle. So like a circle not filled in. If it was said greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, then we'd fill the circle in. And again, yesterday, if you go back and look at yesterday's notes, I had this cheat sheet in there. Less than and greater than, that was going to be an open circle. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, that's going to be a filled in circle. Okay? Questions on that first one? Okay. Next one then. M divided by 4 less than or equal to -8. Okay, what's being done to M? This is dividing by 4, isn't it? So what is the opposite of dividing by 4? Multiplying by 4. If I multiply the left by 4, we're going to multiply the right by 4.
The 4's crossed out.
Okay, yep. On the left, when you multiply by 4, they cross out, and we're left with
And
M. Not equals. You keep doing this. Do I have any reason to change that sign? No. So we're just going to carry it down. -8 times 4? -32. And if you need the calculators and you haven't grabbed them, then by all means, grab them. And of course, we are graphing. What's a number that has to be on your number line? -32. It has to be there. No. Okay. What are some numbers around -32?
-31 and -33.
Okay. So I'm going to put -31 and -30 on the right, because remember, this way's coming from 0. Negatives to the left of 0. So then we count down from here, and then -33 and -34. Let's try to jump to 44. Now, Math Excel, it's multiple choice, isn't it? Okay, but you can still do it. Which way are we shading? Okay, it's less than. As long as my M is on the left, we can shade the direction it points. So we are shading left.
And that's closed.
Why is it a closed circle?
It should, that's how it goes.
Has that equal to mark? When it has that equal to mark, it's going to be a filled in circle, closed circle.
I don't even know how to do that.
You got to at least make it if you're going to shoot it right then. Okay.
You standing there, I'll just say that.
Blocking the shot.
This is blocking the shot.
You're
So I just intimidated you then.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I am not blocking the shot.
You just looked at him. He was like,
That's just pressure got to you. Okay. Next one. You guys know what you're doing here, right?
Yeah, you're just have to take out. You're gonna add the 21. Add the 3.
I'm going to only add something if I see subtraction. I don't see subtraction.
Well.
This is what's keeping the -3 and W together? Multiplication. So we're going to divide. What is it I'm dividing by?
-3.
-3. Now don't get ahead of me on this one,
What?
unless you like to erase. Just warning you. Now, the basics are still there. What happens when you divide by -3 on the left?
I cancel out.
Negative 7.
Negative 3's cancel. You have W. On the right, 21 divided by negative 3,
Negative 7.
negative 7. What about that sign?
It flips. It's the other way.
Why?
Don't ask. That's how I said it. I don't know.
But why does it flip? I'm not disagreeing with you about flipping. I told you guys not to get ahead of me for a reason.
A bigger number?
Nope. Okay, guys. Side note here. Big statement in the middle of the page. When you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, you have to reverse the inequality symbol.
So it is. Right.
So what did we divide by?
3.
Negative 3.
Negative 3. I don't care about what the 21 was. I don't care what kind of answer the 7 is. I care about the fact I divided by a negative 3. So my less than becomes greater than.
I was right. I didn't have to erase.
That's going to be the trick you're going to have to watch out for here. When you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, change the sign. Give me some numbers you're putting on your number line.
7.
Definitely a negative 7, right? Okay, I'll put negative 8 and negative 9 over here, because remember our zeros over here are negatives. Negative 6 and negative 5. Which way am I shading? Okay, you're looking at your answer, yes. And we still have our variable on the left, so that's good. So we're shading to the right. What am I doing at negative 7? Open circle, yes? Open circle because it is not equal to, right? Still think they look like little faces and stuff, but
What did you do this time?
especially I think when I put that comma in there, like it gives it like more of a nose or something.
Now it looks like it.
Somebody yelling, I don't know. So okay. I kind of thought they looked like faces yesterday. Jason's saying they look even more like faces today. So okay, ready to try the bottom half?
No.
Keep in mind, you've got to watch out for this rule. Okay, hold on. Get me through these next 3. So here's our rule still. Don't forget it. Negative of n over 2 less than negative 3. Okay, you see division. It's n divided by 2, so we're going to multiply by 2. Now, might I say, what's out in front of that fraction? A negative. So my recommendation is going to be that we multiply by negative 2. Because they made it a negative fraction, I'm going to suggest we multiply by negative 2. So what happens when we multiply by negative 2?
Those 2 cross out and
Okay.
then have addition.
Negative 2 and negative 2 cancel. And I have
And
n. What is negative 3 times negative 2?
6.
Negative 6.
Positive 6?
Yeah.
Now they switch.
Negative.
Now, this is what I'm going to start asking you every single time you see a less than greater than sign. Keep it or flip it. Why?
Because it is
The
2.
2 divided by negative. I mean,
That's a
multiplied by
negative.
Okay.
negative.
And the answer is not just because you do. You've got to know when we do and don't switch. It's because
It's a negative.
that 2 was negative. I don't care about the sign on the 3. I don't care about the sign on the 6. That 2 was negative, so my less than becomes greater than. Finally, no negatives in the answer. I feel I agree. It's kind of about time.
That feels weird.
What numbers go around 6?
7, 8, 9.
And 5, you said 4.
5, 4, 4, 5, 6.
5, 4, 5.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is what I'm doing. And honestly, guys, I mean, if you do something like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 6, 7, 8, I need some numbers around there. Okay, and I realize in Math Excel you don't have to, but when it comes down to a quiz or a test for me, I want some. Okay?
Wait, I have a question. Did you do my test pack for Marvel today?
Yes, it's laying on my desk.
Wait, what?
No.
Okay. How do I graph?
This is going to be left, right. Okay, that's something.
Okay, don't look at the original, look at what's in our answer. So we're going to go to the
Right.
right. And which kind of dot? Okay, guys, focus up here. It's not equal to, so I'm doing an open dot. Now, those of you that are here yesterday should have an idea of what I want to start with on this one. We have 10 less than or equal to 2/3 W.
You multiply something.
And we're going to multiply here in a moment, but when we go to graph these, what do I keep telling you? If your letter's on the left, you just get to go the direction the arrow points. I prefer us to have our letter on the left. So this 2/3 W, I want over here. If I put 2/3 W over on the left, then my 10 moves to the right. What happens when you swap the two sides?
The
sign
changes.
That sign in the middle changes, yes?
Yeah.
If you flip-flop those two sides, I just made this backwards, so this sign has to go backwards. Instead of less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Now, let's see. What are you guys going to do versus what do I want to teach here?
Would you just
You're gonna need
Wouldn't you flip it and multiply?
We need
What I would teach on this one, I mean, okay, so initial instinct for some of you is going to be it's 2/3 times W. The opposite of timesing is to divide. However, who likes dividing by fractions? No, you guys don't like, none of us like fractions to begin with, but you definitely don't want to divide by fractions. So instead of dividing by 2/3, dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 2/3?
3/2.
Flip it.
Oh, right.
So we're going to multiply by 3/2. If I multiply the left by 3/2,
You flip it.
we're going to multiply the right by 3/2. Now, on the left, you guys, the cross canceling idea, right? A 3 on top cancels with a 3 on bottom. A 2 on top cancels with a 2 on bottom. So at that point, we're left with W. Now, what about 10 times 3/2?
15.
I agree. We got to get there, though. First of all, to make 10 a fraction, I'm going to say 10/1.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys multiply and then divide? What were you doing on your calculator? Because I saw you, or you didn't do this one. I saw you doing something.
I just multiplied it all. I just multiplied 10 times 3/2.
Okay, did it work for you?
Not 15.
Okay, yep. Because what I was going to say is, okay, multiply 10 times 3 and then divide by 2. 10 times 3 is
30,
30. Divided by 2 is 15. And that works. I personally prefer to cross cancel. I know you guys don't necessarily like to cross cancel. Focus up here, please. Up here, please. Okay, I prefer to cross cancel in that 2 and 10. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then 5 times 3 is 15. But if you did 10 times 3 divided by 2, you got the same answer, right? Okay, big question.
Flips.
Do I keep this sign that I have right here,
Yes.
or do I flip it?
Keep it.
Okay, what did I multiply by?
2.
Positive 3 over 2, yes?
Yep.
So I'm going to keep whatever sign I most recently had. So W greater than or equal to 15. Again, that's the big thing, keeping track of the signs. Okay, you got a graph for me?
Yes, is that a negative 15?
So I just put 13, 14, 15, 16 on my paper.
It's 17.
Oh, and 17, I guess it did.
Now it's going to be closed and it's going to the left.
I will half agree with that. Closed. Going to the right. It's pointing to the right. It's greater than. We want numbers greater than 15 in my shaded area.
You had a mathematician's free. Is that a possibility?
We can eat pie on Monday, but we're not going to have a food fight. I'll meet you in the middle. Okay? Okay, guys. Last one.
I'm asleep.
What's Mrs. Sargent going to suggest on this first example?
Flip it.
Yeah.
Before you ever get started, flip it so our letter is on the left. So when I flip it, I'm going to have negative 1/3 m. You know, I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. Well, nope, I'm going to have negative 1/3 m. Then I'm going to have negative 15. Because those sides flip-flop, my sign in the middle flip-flops. So greater than becomes less than. What are your thoughts here?
I'm going to put 15 over 1.
Maybe 3 over 1.
Wait.
Negative 3 over 1.
Okay.
Times out by 15.
If we look at what's hanging out with m, it's a 1/3. How did we get rid of a fraction earlier? Multiplied by the reciprocal. Okay. So I'm going to multiply by negative 3 over 1. What I do on one side, I do on the other side. Okay, almost there, guys. What happens with my 3's?
Cross out.
They cancel. What's a negative times a negative?
Positive.
A positive. So this side is just m. Over here, what's negative 3 over 1?
Negative.
3.
That's just negative 3.
Which is
What's negative 3 times negative 15?
45.
45.
The signs because the negative 3.
Okay, so as always, before I write down this sign, keep it or flip it.
Flip.
I multiplied by negative 3 on both sides. So I'm going to flip it. And it's m greater than 45. Count for me.
43, 44, 45, 46, 47. And it's open and it goes to the right.
Okay, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. There's no line underneath, so I do leave it an open circle. My arrow points to the right, so I am shading to the right.
Alrighty. I'm tired.
Okay, I feel like we know what we're doing.
Yeah, there's somewhat of them.
Okay. Lesson 7.4 in Math Excel is what you need to be working on in these last few minutes.
They probably, it's, they probably some jobs